Well, either wherever you want. Right here. Yep. Thanks.
You want to take your sunglasses off?
Yeah. I'll be slightly more professional.
No, I'm in flip-flops.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we start?
Huh?
You can start there. No. It's not there. Class is not there. Tell them each person like to give you 30 seconds.
30 seconds. What am I going to do?
10 seconds. However much you want to say. No, you need to say what you want to Is Judy going to be up here? Yeah.
What did I do?
And now I have time. That's good. Yeah. That would not feel that way. Yeah. Like, my asks for each team were just like one sentence and not like a whole detail.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it light.
Don't have a giant architectural diagram.
No,
That's not good.
have like detailed colors.
Yeah. It's true.
I believe it.
That's good. That's good. I'll just walk up to her. I'm going to walk up to her.
Oh, okay.
Let's walk up.
Okay.
No, you're good.
So,
But I'm giving you the mic to introduce yourself.
so welcome everyone. Good morning to all. So this has been quite a bit of a project, and this has a 10-second delay. So, yeah. So I welcome our 3 product managers from EDS, as well as Judy, who's a familiar face to all of you guys. And you have seen and met, some of you guys have seen and met Drew, Stephanie and Marvin. But for Drew also, this is the first time in Sri Lanka, right? Yeah. So first time in Sri Lanka, big welcome to these 3 guys. So Judy has been the host so far. So so I hope you showed them the best side of Colombo and best side of Sri Lanka. Yeah. All right. So this is to kick off one of the important projects, and we just have a very tough timeline. We started 1st of December, and Drew and Stephanie has been working all the way around, and Judy joining after that, as well as Jeremy from IDEM side also. So thanks all for joining in, and we are recording this, we are screencasting this so that other people can join from other sides. So to start it off, I'll give over to Drew.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Drew. I live in Denver, Colorado. So I work out of our Centennial office. As Rakshan said, this is my first time out here. So it's great to be here, finally. I actually started with Pearson in 2009. I took a brief hiatus with a different company in 2015, but now I'm back. Glad to be back. And that's me. So we're just going to go through just the quick agenda, kind of the meet the team, why we're doing what we're doing, why is it important, how does it really address kind of the important things affecting our business right now, and then more of like the ask of, like Stephanie and I specifically, what do we need built? What do we need delivered by fall 2018? And then we'll just end with Q&A. So go ahead and switch to the next. Cool. So I introduced myself, but I'll hand it over to Marvin, who can talk to you about him.
Hi, good day everyone. My name is Marvin Puckrin. I'm the product manager for our 3PL current gen and next gen integrations. I've been with Pearson for about 10 years, started in 2008. I work out of the Boston office, and I'm happy to be here in Sri Lanka to meet all the teams. Thanks. Stephanie?
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Kaufman. I am also a product manager for 3PL. I started with Pearson in 2005, so it's been 12 years now. And I started at Pearson actually working in the editorial department. And then I went into sales in the US and then into product management. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys. It's been a long time coming for us to come visit. And thank you so much for your hospitality. We're looking forward to meeting all of you personally. Judy?
All right. Hi, I'm Judy Hartman. I have been lucky enough that this is my 4th trip to Sri Lanka, so I think I recognize a lot of faces, and I know many of you here. I'm not going to tell you how long I've been at Pearson, because then you'll know how old I am. I've had a long, storied history with the company. The last, I'm trying to think, 5 years maybe. I've been part of what we call now the Home-Based Current Gen program, which consists of Higher Ed Portal, the MyLab and Modified Mastering course experience, as well as a number of the integration experiences that enable the full end-to-end course experience to work seamlessly together, pulling many of the platforms like Excel and Mastering and Pegasus together to provide a really awesome user experience for our customers. So I don't know what else to say. I'll give it back to you.
That's perfect. Okay, go ahead. Okay, and then some other folks who are incredibly important and probably more valuable than us to the project. Rukshan, who is heading up all of the program management tasks, who I'm hoping everybody knows. Sithara, our project architect for the next gen space, and then Thisara for our current gen. So I don't know if you guys wanted to say anything, but yay. Okay. Okay, so the why, go ahead and switch to the next one too. So DDA is really kind of the integration project that we're talking about, and DDA is an important thing to know what it is, but in order to know what it is, you really need to know why it exists. So go ahead and switch to the next. So I'm going to start really at like kind of market trends and what the higher ed market space is overall. So you can see here, this is where everywhere Pearson makes money. So each category here on the bottom, and then how much each one makes. So higher ed courseware is print and digital for all things higher ed. So if it's like our biology textbook, or it's My Math Lab, or it's Learning Studio, it could be anything around that realm. Making right now about like 1.4 billion pounds, which is a lot of money. It's actually more money than anything else that the company does. So it's very valuable, but you'll see here that it's actually going down. The far left bar is 2016, far right bar 2020. So we are seeing a downward trend for the higher ed courseware budget, but upward trends for a lot of these other ones. So we're thinking, so clearly there's a decline here. We need to figure out what that is. Go ahead and switch to the next slide. And this is kind of an overall market segmentation of the courseware market. And so we see here that around 40% of higher ed courseware globally, right, for like new products is mainly Pearson and our competition. So we're the largest single entity in the new product purchase or product adoption space. The used and rental market, which is basically Amazon.com, for lack of a better word, comprises about 50%, and then either people just don't buy or steal it or something along those lines in order to get their materials. And so what you can see here is that For the actual market itself, for kind of like overall market share, we have around 40%, but we only get about 14% of the revenue here. And the reason is that we're only really in this space, right? Like Pearson does not make money in this space. Instead, only like Amazon.com make money in that space, right? So we need to be able to figure out a way to get more revenue relative to the amount of market share that we have for new courseware adoptions. So go ahead and flip to the next slide. So this is a really complicated slide. So you can feel free to read it. But basically, the solution to that is direct digital access, which is a way that a lot of publishers, including Pearson, are addressing that gap where you're not making any money in the used and rental market. And so what happens with direct digital access is that the publishers make an agreement with the institution that says on the first day of class, all students will have this one product. Could be Campbell Biology, could be My Accounting Lab, could be Mastering Physics, could be whatever it happens to be. And it's at a significantly reduced price, right? So if you go on to our general higher ed portal catalog and you want to buy My Math Lab, it's $150 maybe, right? But maybe through a direct digital access agreement with the institution, maybe it's only $75, right? So it's a lot cheaper. And so students are much more encouraged to buy that product rather than try to steal it or get it through some other means. And so because of that, we think that a lot more students will sign up for the material, a lot more students will be using the material, and then we hope a lot more students will be learning from the material, and the efficacy story of DDA will really come to fruition because we think that a lot more people will be using the best products that we have to offer. One thing that you'll hear a lot of, like Curtis Barnes say, or Paul Corey say, is that our content is always the best in the market. We always, it's perceived globally that we have the best learning materials that there are. However, the way that people access those through either an integration here or an adoption model there is where Pearson tends to not succeed. And that's really what we want to change here with DDA, where we want a student to be able to access something very quickly through the preferred means of the institution. So what I just talked about there was not at all on here. But if you want to read that in your spare time, feel free to do that. But that's really like DDA and why it's so important. And so when you hear those like 3 letters, direct digital access, that's really what we're trying to do, is get products into the hands of students on the very first day through a partnership with the institution. Okay, so what are we going to build? Good. So really what we're going to do is enable DDA adoptions for current gen and next gen products, delivered via channel partners such as RedShelf and VitalSource, integrated with our 4 big LMSs, D2L, Canvas, Blackboard, and Moodle. Another sort of market perception that we have is that Revel, if anybody, I know that like some bricks and ILP are maybe around in Sri Lanka, but we have like Revel, which is a really flashy product. It's really cool. And then you've got something like My Math Lab, which is on a completely different tech stack, completely different identity, completely different everything. And so as a salesperson, it's really hard to sell both of those products to an institution because how an institution will use those products is so different. It's 2 different identities, it's 2 different gradebooks, it's 2 different user experiences, it's 2 different adoption models, right? And so what we really want is current gen and next gen to sort of come together and be adoptable in the same way through these channel partners. So if you're not familiar with channel partners, what that means is that an institution will partner with another company, in this case VitalSource or RedShelf. And what they do is provide access to publisher material in a way that is cohesive to the student, so that there's no differentiation between Pearson or McGraw-Hill or Cengage or any other material, right? So if you're a student and you use a Pearson product, you'd access it the same way that you use your McGraw-Hill product. So it's a much better student experience. You only have one login. You only have one launch button. You only have all these different things, right? So again, it's the integration story, right? Like what can we do to get our integrated products delivered in a better way? Because we know that we'll always win with our content. And then finally, we want to deliver that through our big 4 LMSs. So LMS integrations are key there. Hence the gigantic amount of resources that we need for those teams. And I'll let Rakshan speak to this one.
I'll grab this off you. So we are now, we almost did the design. So 3PL socket TPI side is complete, and portal is almost complete, as well as passport and SMS. We hope this week we are done. And approach and feature sizing, which is what we're working on now. 3PL and socket is also complete. Portal, SMS, passport, we intend to complete it this week, so which is why Judy is very much here. And PC3 would happen through late this week to next week. So we intend to get stories, dependencies, and the program board sorted out. We'll be having the board in the Alnitak first floor, so we can get together on that. And PC4 to 5 is basically iterative development, multiple entries to staging would happen through this phase. Development and going to staging, and there would be a need to coordinate with the channel partners, and hoping if some engineering best practices work is on our side to do integrated demos on March 29th, 26th, and 24th of May. So that is to roll up all the working software into a single demo, which we can demonstrate to our stakeholders. So this is going a little bit beyond your iteration demos. If the engineering works perfectly, as if it would want most of the time, you can do that. Let's hope we can get there. So PC5 final stage to entries to staging date. So this date is pretty much governed by what Rifa would say. Is Rifa here, by the way? Right. Yeah. So Rifa is going to start the end-to-end testing and performance testing just after this. So May 4th would be the final date to staging, and we intend to take a go/no-go decision on multiple capabilities on the 31st of May. These dates can slightly change, of course, and teams to go to production on the dates of June 4th to 15th, right? So sequencing of the work is going to be really important, which is what we're going to come out in the PC3 also. Which team goes to first before which team, right? So that's going to be important. And client committed date, already committed date is June 15th. So that date is a date that won't change. And whatever would change would be the scope. And earlier we find the scope, the better. And we are hoping by the end of PC3 we'll find the scope. Right? That's a big finger crossed, because we are going to communicate that out. Once it is communicated, we don't want to change the what we communicated to the customers, right? And these set of customers are freshly going to work with us, mainly the sales folks and all that. So that's going to be, we should make it a good experience for them. And if that works, comes the 2-year-long project, which everybody hopes for, and that will be good for all of us. Yeah. So next slide, then go back to you.
Cool. Okay, so we have a very rough breakout of kind of what teams are going to be asked to do sort of what bundle of work. So while it's like one sentence, it's probably like 97,000 points. So basically, for current gen, what we're looking to have the 3PL kind of current gen team do, and TPI, like whatever sort of work ends up getting fleshed out there, that they would broker the channel partner interaction with the downstream sort of current gen systems like HE Portal, SMS, MyLab mastering, etc., and then continuing to provide grade sync capabilities at our whatever level of service we have today, right? SMS, create an opt-in, opt-out status and membership table, including like the payment types. So if I paid from my institution because I opted into DDA, maybe I'm unpaid because I decided to opt out, and if you paid with Pearson. One thing actually I completely forgot to say earlier, so sorry about that, is that with DDA, one of the important things is that as a student, you can opt in or out of that material for a certain number of days after the class starts. So, I said, like, for example, instead of paying $150 for a My Math Lab, it would only be $75 and you have until maybe day 20 after the course starts to say, yes, I want to do that, or no, I don't. And if you decide you don't want to, then you can always just pay whatever our normal like national price is for the product. So you'd instead be paying that $150, which is why we want people to opt in, and we want that, you know, continued access for day one. So an important part there, and which SMS needs to capture. And then finally, HE Portal facilitating the course pairing and creation flows like they do today, an existing coordinator member and course copy functionality. So a lot of the HE Portal things are just making sure that things still work the way that they're supposed to work. Easier said than done, of course. And then finally, integration testing. You know, you see in the timeline that Rukshan laid out a few slides ago is we think that there's going to be a lot of integration points here that are going to require a lot of testing. So all these parties together, right? SMS, 3PL, TPI, HE Portal, MLM for GradeSync, all those sort of parties need to be involved in testing because we think that there's a lot there that we need to have happen. And then for next gen, a similar sort of story. So for 3PL next gen or socket, brokering that channel partner interaction with downstream systems that include registrar, passport, PI, ILP. Same sort of thing, only it's the next gen stack instead of the current gen stack. Passport, I don't know if there's any passport developers in Sri Lanka. So what they need to do is they're going to provide an API to populate the opt-in, opt-out status for subscription verification. And then a lot of integration testing too, just again to make sure that everything works the way it should. I know that like there's a large document index, and a lot of these are probably pulled from that. But you know, if we can look at our prototype, our user requirements, our epics in Jira, the architecture, things like that, as much as people need them. And so the last thing, what I was going to do is just show you the prototype, unless enough people have already seen it. Better show it? Okay, cool. So I'm going to move over to my laptop for that. Okay. Oh. Okay, so this is a Canvas instance right here. So you can see I'm a student. My name is David Pickles here. And I can see this course material that's Pearson, and it's American Stories. And I can see here it's $74.95. Maybe it was $150, but because of the arrangement that my school has made, it's only this much. And so I can see here that I have opted out, which means that I don't have access to it. And so I need to opt back in by December 22nd, 2017, let's pretend, in order to be able to use it, or else I have to pay the national price. And so I can see here that, you know, it's something that I've decided is valuable, like maybe it really helps me learn a lot about the course, so I want to get access. And so I can get access. I can sign in through an account linking process. This is a flow that we have today through our Pi 3PL Next Gen integration. So I can type in my my email address, my password, link my accounts, and then I can see this challenge screen here. This is what we currently have for Revel. It would look almost the exact same. And so I can see here that I can purchase it directly through Pearson or enter an access code if I've decided to opt out and it's too late to opt back in. So if I instead chose to opt in, that button would just say launch, and then I could launch the product just like I do any other product that's integrated with a third-party LMS today. If I'm an instructor, how that material got associated to that course is through a pretty simple process as well. And so VitalSource, this is one of the channel partners that we that I kind of talked about earlier. And so you can see here that an example is that there could be a Pearson product here, but then there could be like a Cengage product or a McGraw-Hill product here as well, because I'm in like the VitalSource catalog, and VitalSource is what's integrated to Canvas, and then the 3PL next gen and current gen teams are essentially integrating with VitalSource or integrating with RedShelf, which is another channel partner. And so as an instructor, I know that American Stories is a title that we can offer to students through DDA, and so I can just add a link there. And I would go through the exact same flow that I would for Revel today. For next gen, obviously for current gen, I'd go through the same sort of thing, where I would just enter my username and password, and then the content would be added. I'd still have my grade sync capabilities. I'd still be able to do whatever sort of options I had there. But you can see here that now, through a lot of behind the scenes work from the socket team, or the current gen 3PL team, we would be creating a course, pairing that product with that course, enrolling the instructor in that course, sending a confirmation back to the channel partner, and then this lovely screen appears, right? So a lot of the behind the scenes sort of operations, where the students can then begin accessing immediately after that. So that's just a quick Envision link. I think that the link is in the documentation on the Confluence site. If it's not, I can add it. So. Cool. That's it. So questions? No questions. I presented that perfectly.
So in terms of the partner team, seems last 4 years still behind on getting their solution designs done. So while all of you are here, is there some sort of like planning in collaboration with the partner teams plan for this week to get them to where the current gen is?
Yeah, so currently Jeremy, Jamie, and
Bob, the manager. Bob Dolan.
Bob Dolan. They are both so we would need to sync up with them later this weekend. And ideally, they should have started going to the teams and sorting out that last week. But we had a sort of blocker with Matson being away last week. So Matson is back this week because passport needs to still sync up with teams for them to make sure that design approach is what they want. That's the expectation. We will then end that up by end.
And they know that they have to do it, so they'll do it.
I think we should maximize if we need to have some overlap.
So Jeremy is coming next week.
Jeremy's coming next week, and I think we have a couple of discussions with Judy in terms of the HE total related with commerce. So let's take them into from this.
So from Jeremy's point of view, Romani being here is
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, so you guys will have a lot of detailed conversation product that we have here. So, do you not have any further questions? We can wrap up for now. Yeah.
Oh, you need to use the mic.
Yes.
This is a quick business-related question. My question is, are we, Pearson is already late for the DDA market, or are we ahead?
Yes, we are late. Not too late. We're not too late. I don't want to freak anybody out. But yes, we are later than our competitors are in the DDA market. Like Cengage is a competitor of ours, and they have a DDA integration. So does McGraw Hill. Their integrations aren't very good. There's a lot of manual work. It's kind of a convoluted user flow, and so the proposed work that we have, like that you saw through that Envision clickable prototype, is a lot more robust and a lot better than what they have, because like rather than just going to where they are, we want to try to go above that. Mostly just because we haven't focused on it, right? Institutional integrations is something that we haven't really focused on as an organization. So yes, we are behind, but I'm confident that we're not too far behind that we can't catch up by this project that we're doing right here. And actually, that reminds me of another thing I wanted to mention, is that this is one project, right? Like the DDA integration project with channel partners for current gen and next gen. This doesn't mean that it's the only thing for DDA that we will do. You know, if the institutions don't use a channel partner, we still need to be able to supply those DDA kind of core functions, which is, you know, again, that opt-in, opt-out functionality, partnerships with bookstores, things like that. So there may be other backlog items for like IMVS as a value stream unrelated to this, because we want to solve DDA from multiple angles. So that too, just so that there's no confusion there with that. Any other questions at all about higher ed courseware, market trends, competitors, LMSs, the weather, anything? Anybody? It's I don't know. When I left, it was like 6 degrees and sunny. In Denver. It was nice, but.
62 degrees Fahrenheit. In Boston, it was what, negative 20 Celsius. Minus 20 degrees yesterday. So we're happy to be here.
That's not the only reason.
No, not the only reason we're happy now. It's an added benefit.